Hello, today I'd like to talk about the process that I use to consume books. I used to read a lot of books, relatively speaking, not compared to Bill Gates, but I used to read a lot of books. And the problem as I got older, the vision is not what it used to be, a bunch of other things happened. So the bottom line is I can't really sit down and read a book for hours, things like that. So how do you consume books? Where do you get books? I used to go buy books. Now I do everything as much as I can in the digital form, so I don't buy paper books anymore. I just have digital books. And then it winds up being a situation where you have this book and that book, and you start reading something and something else comes up. Next thing you know, you have this library, tons of books, and one of these days I'm going to read them. But one of these days doesn't seem to come, basically. So today I'm going to walk you through the process of what I just recently started doing. First of all, it'll help you get free books, which is always helpful if you can get free books. And number two, it'll enable you to process these books much faster and much more efficiently. And you still get the benefit of what the book is about, but in a much, much shorter time. Think of it as somebody would sit down and give you kind of a important summary of points and takeaways of what the book is about. And then, of course, if you still want to read the entire book, it's your book, you can read it anytime you want. So nobody's stopping you from reading the book. But if you just want to get the main points and main takeaways and suggestions of how it could be helpful for you and your business, in this particular case, I'm kind of orienting it towards business, then this might be a good approach for you to take. Okay? So I get these emails on a daily basis. Basically, it's free books that they list from Amazon, where Amazon slashes prices on different things all the time, but they also have some books that they actually mark down to nothing. They're actually literally free. They're all digital books, they're not paper books, but they are free. And then, of course, you can get them and you put them in your Kindle and you can read them anytime you want. They become yours. So I get these emails, they look like this. See, it says Saturday $0 ebooks, and they have a bunch of ads. Obviously, they got to pay for it somehow because it's a free service. And so you skip by the ads, and then it shows you categories that you can select. Like in the fantasy category, there are 3 books, these books. In science fiction, these books, and so on and so forth. They don't show you how are they rated or what they're about or anything else. On this email, you just get a glimpse of what the books are available. So anytime you see something you're interested in, you just click on this free download on any book. It doesn't matter which book. And that takes you to the next screen and actually shows you the same exact thing, but now you have some additional information. For example, if I hover over any of these books, I get a little description of what it is. I see clearly the name of the author. Let's make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it easier, like that. And you can see the rating, which is always super important. You can see how many people rated it. This is where the brain comes in versus AI. We're not using AI for this, we're using our own brains here. Put the mic closer. And to figure out, do we want to read this book or not? Like this particular book here is 4 stars. This particular book is also 4 stars. And so you just kind of scroll down and see. So you have fantasy category, you have mystery and thrillers, at least that's what I have. Science fiction, business and investing, and I started this when I had kids. There's self-help. So you also have children's books too. Probably should change this because my kids are big now, but I've been doing this for many years actually. You sign up with them for free, select the categories you want to show, and then it shows you the books. Sometimes it's not going to be more than 3 per category, but sometimes it could be fewer than 3, like in this case it's only 2. Okay? So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Let's say I wanted to get one of these books. Let's say I wanted to get this Raising Chestnut, Lessons from the Board to Everyday Life. Sounds like potentially interesting book. And over here it's got a little description I can see, so I might be interested in that. Okay. So if I wanted to get it, I just click on this thing here where it says free Kindle download, and I can get it directly from Amazon. Okay? What I usually do, I look for books that have 5-star ratings. I don't even look at anything that's less than 5-star rating. I realize I'm missing some stuff that potentially is good, but to me, if the book has an average 5-star rating, then it's worth getting, in my opinion. And also, the second thing I look at is how many people rated it. So if I see a 5-star rating and there's like 1 or 2 people that rated it, this 5-star rating doesn't mean anything to me. But if it's anything in like double digit, sometimes they have books that have thousands of ratings. Like over here, there's one that's 715 ratings. If it's 5 stars and 500 people said it's 5 stars, then it's probably a decent book. At least that's the logic I'm using to identify, because I don't want to download all of these. Obviously, I could download all of these, but I don't want to download. I just want to download the cream of the crop. So look at the number of reviews, and I look at the ratings to be 5 stars. And if that's the case, like in this case, I'm going to go ahead and get it. So I click on Free Kindle. It opens up Amazon right to that page for that book. I can, at this point, verify that it really is 5 stars. Sometimes it'd be like 4.8, 4.9, and they show it as 5, but close enough. So this one is actually 5 stars. I can go look at the reviews if I wanted to. Obviously, I don't have to get it immediately and stuff. So I can kind of verify this is really what I want. Let's say I do. And over here on the right side, I have an option. It says here, Kindle price is 0, and I can buy it with one click. So I just click on one click, and just like that, it's my library, okay, in my Kindle library. Okay, so I have this book. I can go read it. I can follow the author if I wanted to, usual Amazon stuff. Bottom line is I got this book from Amazon for free, no cost at all. We can just click on read now. It'll open it up. And we see the book is right there, and you can see, it's got pictures, it's got links, it's got everything you need to have. Whatever is in the book is in the book, and you can just go through pages, read them. You can make it bigger, smaller, change colors, different things you can do. Okay, so that's fine. So in this particular case, we see we're looking at page 25 of 154. Okay, so it's not a little book; it's 154 pages, which I'm not going to read right now. And so a lot of times in the past, I would start reading it, and then I'd read 20, 30 pages, and then I go to something else, and basically goes by the wayside. I never get back to it. So a better approach, which is what I'm started to do now, is what I would do is I wouldn't read the book. Okay, it's in my library. I got it. Great. What I would do is actually go to anywhere where I have the cover, and you can do it from the email itself if you want, or you can do it from the Amazon. It doesn't really matter. In my case, I use Snagit. You can use the snipping tool from Windows, where I basically grab the image of the book, including the author, like that. Doesn't have to be perfect, just so I have the image right there. Okay, now I grabbed it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Claude. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit, and I'm going to drag this image into Claude here. Let's see if we can do this. Like that. Okay, and you can also copy and paste however you want to do it. In my case, I just dragged it. Okay, so we now have it here. And I'm going to say, please examine this book. Give me a brief summary of what it's about. And then in bullet format, all main takeaways and suggestions of how I could use their strategies and ideas in my business and personal life. Okay, very simple prompt. People tell you need to learn how to prompt. You need to go to prompting school. The better the prompts, the better the outcome. It's true to a degree. You just need to speak English, and you need to clearly and concisely explain to the AI what it is that you're trying to get, what format you're trying to get, what exactly the kind of information you're trying to get from whatever the information source is. In my case, it's this picture of a book. I don't even give them the book. I'm just giving them the picture of the book. Okay? So I click submit, and let's make this a little bit bigger so you can see better. Okay, so here we go. In seconds, literally, as you can see, it's coming back. It says, I'll search information about this book. And it says, let me be more specific, and so on and so forth. So it's going to these different places. And here's the brief summary. So as you can see, the summary is fairly short, just like I asked. Main takeaways right here in bullet points, just like I asked. There's the core philosophy, lessons. Okay, and so all these different things right there I can read, and how to apply these strategies in business, in personal life. Adopt chess-like thinking by anticipating multiple moves ahead in your business decisions. considering how each action affects. So it's not like in this particular case, it's something, oh my God, I've never thought of this before. I mean, it makes perfect sense, but for a lot of people, they may not know this. And of course, this is just one book. I have tons of books like that. Okay, so, all this stuff there talks about business recommendations, personal recommendations, all of that. And so it says, central message of this book applies universally, whether on business or personal. Sustainable success comes from thoughtful preparation, learning from experience, building strong support networks, valuing the journey as much as destination. Excellent suggestion right there. An excellent statement there. So there you go. I mean, basically you can see it's relatively short, and now I have it. What I do next is I don't necessarily even have to read this. I could if I wanted to, and you can see it would take me much, much faster than to read 154 pages, right? What I do is I simply click on this little copy icon here, okay? Which will take the output it generated, give it to me. And then I jump into the phenomenal program from Google called Notebook LM. Okay, let's jump into that tab. And then you can create a new notebook if you wanted to. In my case, I created one called My Business Books. And basically, I'm just using one notebook. You can have 50 different sources. So in my case, I have a fairly extensive library. In fact, let me just show you, pull up my Kindle. So here's my Kindle app, and you can see this book we just downloaded. You can see I have books and books and books and books. All of these books were at different times gathered by me from Amazon at absolutely zero cost. As you can see, I have very extensive selection now of all kinds of books. A lot of them business oriented, some of them are personal development, some of them are just novels and stuff like that, some of them just for fun, all kinds of books. It's just a almost never ending scrolling thing. Okay? And so if you think about it, if you have a collection that huge, when are you ever going to read these books? And the answer is I'm not. Okay, I'm just not. So if we go back to Notebook LM, what we can do here is we can say we're going to add a new source. Click on add. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on paste text as the source, and I'm simply going to hit paste. And it's going to paste everything that Claude gave me into this particular source. And so now it's got this name of the book here, and we have all these sources shown. In this case, I have this other book which I don't want to deal with right now. I just want to deal with the one we just looked at. Okay? So I'm going to click on that, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this option here called Audio Overview, but before hitting it, I'm going to hit the pencil there to edit, and they're going to say, give me a shorter length one. Don't give me the long one. Here we can specify things in terms of what it should be focusing on, what it should be doing, but you can just leave everything with defaults even without doing anything. Just basically change that one thing so it creates it as a shorter version. Now it's 4:21 p.m. my time right now. Let's see how long it takes to generate. This usually generates in a few minutes. So you can be doing other things in this particular case. Like for example, if I wanted to, they have mind maps, they have different reports, you can do a quiz, you can do flashcards. There are many different things. You can even have video overviews. But the audio overview is the one I want to show you because it's really useful. You just wait for a few minutes doing something else or doing something in this program here, whatever you want to do. When it gets done, as you can see, it's spinning here showing that it's working on it. It's going to stop and it's going to look like here. Like on this other book, I had one generated and I can just click on it to play it. In this case, we'll do the same with this. So in our case, we'll just wait. I specifically wanted to wait so you can see how quickly you can generate this. But once it's done, and then you can actually use it. So what it's doing right now, and this is something that became hugely popular on Google with people using it, is it's actually creating a podcast. It's creating a conversation between two people on the topic that you selected, whatever it might be. You can have on the left here, these sources could be multiple sources selected. It's going to take all this information, put it together, figure out what it is using AI. You can ask questions here about it. You can create notes. There's many different things you can do. But for the sake of this particular video today, I just want to show you we're not doing anything other than dropping the summary and key takeaways from Claude. Just simply dropping in here and saying, generate a 4-minute overview. And now I'm going to go ahead, once it gets done, I'm going to show you it's got done. So it's 4:23. So basically it took it 2 minutes. Okay? So now I'm going to go ahead and play it for you. and it's going to be 4 minutes, so you can hear the entire thing, see just how capable it is, and see what it actually does when you do this kind of stuff.
We analyze your source material and bring you instant, actionable knowledge. Today we're diving into Raising Chess Knights, Strategy and Life Lessons. It's a memoir by Mohana Mukherjee Das and her sons, Dharan and Johina Karya Das, who became state and national chess champions. Our mission here is really to pull out the most powerful strategic ideas from the 64 squares. Lessons of resilience, discipline, emotional maturity that you can actually apply to business, to your personal life. And the core idea they really hammer home is that, success isn't measured by trophies. It's about the quiet, daily decisions you make to consistently get better.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit.
Yeah, and what's truly fascinating is how they translate the mechanics, the physics of the game into these life metaphors. It's not just abstract. Like, they talk about the power differences between pieces. The queen obviously represents that sort of raw strength leadership. But then the knight, with its tricky indirect moves, that teaches flexibility, right? Yeah. Leveraging unconventional power. And crucially, they stress that every loss, every single one, is an opportunity for some pretty intense, cold self-reflection. If you connect that to, say, real-world learning, it's like performing that honest post-mortem you do after a failed project or, well, a lost chess game. The game develops critical thinking and emotional intelligence precisely because you are forced to confront the exact moment your strategy failed. No excuses allowed, really.
Right. And here's where it gets really strategic, I think. Applying this kind of thinking to business. The book really pushes for adopting a, let's call it a chess-like mindset, meaning you have to anticipate multiple moves ahead, competitor moves, market shifts, not just the immediate next step. This specifically involves calculated risk. In chess, they call it a gambit, right? Sacrificing something now, material piece, for a bigger long-term positional advantage.
Okay, but that raises a pretty important question, doesn't it? How does the book differentiate between a truly calculated risk and, well, just an optimistic blunder? Because that's a fine line.
That's a great point.
In chess, you rely on deep analysis, knowing forced responses. What's the business equivalent?
Well, the authors really emphasize that preparation is just everything. Your business gambit, maybe it's a temporary financial hit or moving resources around, it has to be backed by solid market analysis and a really clear vision of the desired end game.
Yeah.
The long-term payoff has got to clearly outweigh the immediate cost. It's about thorough groundwork.
Got it. So it's not just hoping, it's knowing the probable outcomes.
Exactly. And that kind of strategic patience, that longevity, it links directly to how they view passing on knowledge in an organization. They call it student-to-teacher progression. Basically, it's the practical side of mentorship culture. Think of it like passing down successful chess openings, those proven high-performance patterns, from your experienced people to the newer team members. It multiplies knowledge and stops the organization repeating old mistakes.
Yeah, and that focus on sort of inherited wisdom, it reflects their whole parenting approach too. It seemed very focused on progress over perfection. They saw failures, obstacles as these core teaching moments, not disasters. The consistent effort needed for deliberate practice, hours setting the board, complex endgames, that's what built the real resilience. Much more than just the pressure to win, say, the next local tournament.
So for you, listening, the personal takeaway seems pretty clear then. Develop your own structured, deliberate routines, whatever your field. And when disappointment inevitably hits, try to reframe that setback. Actively ask, okay, what concrete lessons did this loss actually reveal? Instead of just, dwelling on the sting. This focus on structured, almost ritualistic family learning is what built their success. It provided connection and analytical rigor.
Mm-hmm. And if we zoom out one last time, sort of connect this to the bigger picture, the universal message seems to be that sustainable success, really in any competitive field, it needs maybe 4 pillars. Thoughtful preparation first, then non-emotional learning from every experience, good or bad, building strong support networks, definitely, and finally valuing the strategic journey itself just as much as the final win.
Yeah, that makes sense. The memoir advises making daily decisions aligned not just with today, but with the person you aim to become in, say, 5 or 10 years. So this raises an important final question for you. Based on your own future strategic goal, what is one small, consistent move, maybe one that involves a bit of a short-term sacrifice, that you can make starting today to position your future self for that ultimate success?
Okay, so as you can see, it's very potent. They do a great job shrinking the information down to the 4-minute audio, and you can obviously use it for yourself. If you want to share it, you potentially could share it if you wanted to. It's just an audio file that you can download and upload to all the usual places. But in my case, I'm not uploading it anywhere. I'm just simply using it for my own self-benefit, so I can read these books literally in a matter of less than 5 minutes if I wanted to. You can also generate, when you generate these audio overviews, you can also indicate that you want it to be a little shorter or default or longer. The longer ones can be as long as 20 minutes long. So if you want to create a more elaborate way to do it, that's fine. And also they allow you to actually pause it in the middle as it's reading it, and you can ask it questions, so AI will try to answer the question, which is not exactly what they were going to say, but it'll try to answer the best it can. And it does a really good job. So the bottom line is, again, even if you don't get into any additional features or capabilities, the basic approach is you simply drop your book cover into Claude in my case, but you can drop it into ChatGPT or any other LLM. And then you take the output from that, copy it, one click, and you drop it as a source into Notebook LM. There are 50 of these sources you can have in a single notebook, as they call it. So theoretically, what I could do is I could put in 50 books, which would be 50 sources, in a single notebook. And if I have more than 50, then obviously I can have multiple notebooks. Theoretically, you can actually have the reports and everything be generated not just from one source, but from as many sources as you select on the left side here. If I wanted to do both of these, I could actually do both of these. I don't know exactly how it would sound. I guess I can try it. But in my case, I'm planning to do it one at a time. I would always be looking at any particular source and at the same time getting reports and getting the overviews about that. And this way I don't have to be reading these long books, and I don't have to be listening for a long time, and I can still get all the value of what main points were using this approach. And that's basically it. I figured you can have up to 100 of these notebooks per single Google account. So 100 multiplied by 50, that's 5,000 books, theoretically the limit, which is more than anybody would probably have. Let's quickly recap. We took a cover image of a book, and then we dropped it into Claude, which you could do it with ChatGPT as well, or Gemini. And then we gave it a prompt and dropped the prompt down below in the comments here, in case you want to do the same prompt, but you don't have to. You can just come up with a prompt that makes sense to you. And then once we give it the prompt, Claude came back with a very nice and descriptive, succinct list of takeaway points and overview of the book. And then I dropped it into Notebook LM from Google, and then create an overview from it using the shorter version, so it's pretty short. And that's basically it. In my case, I have this notebook called My Business Books, and you can see I have two sources right now, but I'm going to have these filled with all these other books from Kindle that I have. I'm just going to put all the business books in there. And then I'm going to have another notebook for sci-fi, another book for personal stuff, things like that. You can break it down any way you want, whatever works for you. If you don't have that many books, you can obviously fit them in a single notebook, and then you just use that particular notebook to come up with these things for each of the sources. You can combine sources together and then generating an audio overview on those sources. So that might be helpful in certain cases. So I think this particular kind of framework or workflow is very useful. It's a way for you to learn a lot of new things at absolutely no cost to you, because you can get Claude, use that for free. You can get Notebook LM for free. And obviously you get these books from Amazon for free. It's a pretty potent approach, at least works for me. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. And until next time, I'm Oleg.